When was the last time your handbag made you feel more beautiful the moment you picked it up? Not more prepared, not more practical, but genuinely more elegant, like it quietly lifted your posture, softened your presence, and told the world a story you were proud to share. For so many women over 60, that moment slips away without us realizing it. We carry the same trusted bag for years, believing it still serves us the way it once did. And yet, our lives evolve. Our style evolves. Our energy evolves. But our handbags, they often stay frozen in a chapter we've already outgrown. And here's the thing with handbags, they speak long before we do. A bag can add years to your look or instantly lighten it. It can make you appear weighed down or subtly lifted. It can say timeless, or it can say I haven't checked in with myself for a while. None of that has anything to do with age, only alignment. I once worked with a woman who carried a bag she adored for 20 years. When we placed it beside a more refined, modern silhouette that suited her now sophisticated presence, the difference was striking. Her face softened. Her shoulders relaxed. She looked like herself again, her current self, not the woman she used to be. That moment wasn't about fashion. It was about recognition. Handbags hold more than our essentials. They hold our story. And after 60, your story deserves to be told with clarity, with grace, and with a confidence that doesn't need to shout. In today's video, we're taking a gentle but honest look at 7 bags that may be quietly aging you, and the elegant, modern alternatives that honor the woman you are today. Not trends, not pressure, not reinvention. Just refinement. Just alignment. Just beauty that moves with you, not against you. And if you've ever wondered whether your bag still complements the woman you've become, stay with me. You may discover that the smallest change can make your entire style feel renewed. Part 1: Novelty and Sculptural Bags. There's a moment many women over 60 have experienced but rarely talk about.
You pick up a handbag you once adored. Maybe it was
A heart, a camera, a circle, a shiny little box, and for a split second, you wonder whether it still matches the woman you are today. Not the woman you were at 50, or 40, or 30. But the woman who has lived, learned, softened, strengthened, and beautifully evolved. That tiny hesitation tells a story all on its own. Novelty bags used to be fun. They added a spark, a wink, a moment of playfulness to your outfit. They turned heads, made people smile. But fashion has a quiet way of shifting as we grow, and sometimes the pieces that once felt whimsical start sending a message we never intended. A handbag shaped like a giant fruit, a glittery clutch molded into a cartoonish silhouette, or a micro sculpture dangling from a long strap might have felt clever years ago. Yet now it can make your entire look feel disconnected from the elegance you naturally carry. The truth is subtle but powerful. After 60, harmony matters more than novelty. Your presence has depth, wisdom, softness, and confidence. Accessories that scream for attention: bright metallic shapes, oversized cartoon motifs, quirky geometric shells often compete with that natural refinement. Instead of complementing your outfit, they become the outfit, and not in a way that feels aligned with the sophistication you've earned. I remember a woman named Sandra, 68, who told me she kept a collection of little sculptural handbags because they reminded her of spontaneous days in her 40s. One afternoon, she brought one of them to lunch, a shiny, stiff heart-shaped clutch. She laughed lightly and said, "I think this used to feel cute. Now I'm not sure if it feels like me." That moment was her emotional pivot. She wasn't mourning youth. She was recognizing her own evolution. And when she set that novelty bag aside and replaced it with a structured leather crossbody, her entire posture changed. She looked calmer, taller, more present. As if her style had finally caught up with the woman she had become. Novelty bags don't just distract visually. They disrupt proportion. A bag shaped like a lollipop, a sphere, or a rigid block can pull the eye downward or sideways, creating choppiness in the silhouette. And when you're wearing clean, beautifully draped clothing, linen trousers, a tailored blouse, a soft knit sweater, that visual interruption steals from the quiet beauty of your outfit. Elegance thrives on flow. Sculptural novelty bags interrupt it. So what is the alternative for a woman who still wants personality, charm, and confidence? A structured medium crossbody bag. It's the perfect marriage of function and refinement. It stays close to your body, creating a clean vertical line that lengthens your torso and supports a graceful posture. Instead of swinging awkwardly or protruding from your outfit, it moves with you softly, intentionally, elegantly. Look for quality leather or a supple vegan grain that has texture without unnecessary shine. Clean seams, minimal hardware, subtle stitching details that whisper sophistication rather than shout for attention. The ideal length is right at the hip, or slightly below it, where the bag becomes part of your silhouette instead of fighting against it. Colors like camel, dove, gray, burgundy, stone, or deep olive bring a richness that beautifully complements silver or salt and pepper hair. One of my favorite things about a structured crossbody is how practical it feels without looking practical. You can bring your essentials, glasses, phone, a small wallet, a lipstick, without feeling weighed down. Nothing tugs on your shoulder. Nothing feels clumsy or juvenile. Everything sits exactly where it should, letting you move with ease. Let me ask you something: when you hold your current everyday bag, does it feel like it aligns with your presence today? Or does it feel like a souvenir from a version of you that no longer exists? Many women are surprised by their answer, and that surprise is where true style rebirth begins. Because after 60, elegance doesn't come from being louder. It comes from being clearer. Clear in intention, clear in silhouette, clear in the story. Your style tells before you even say a word. And if you think this first handbag was eye-opening, wait until you see what summer bags are quietly doing to your outfits, especially under sunlight. The next category may be sitting in your closet right now, aging your look far more than you realize. Part 2: heavy, shiny synthetic bags. There's a certain kind of summer bag that always seems to seduce us at first glance. It gleams under boutique lighting, beautifully sculpted, unapologetically smooth, and polished like glass. But the moment a woman over 60 steps into real daylight with it, the truth reveals itself with surprising honesty. That glossy surface stops looking luxurious and starts looking loud. Instead of melting into your outfit, it competes with it. And instead of brightening your features, it creates a harsh reflection that makes even the softest linen dress appear flattened, older, and disconnected from your natural elegance. Many women tell me they kept these shiny, synthetic bags for years because they were practical or easy to wipe clean. But practicality loses its value the moment a bag begins to age you. Synthetic textures don't soften with time, they don't develop character, and they certainly don't bring harmony to mature fabrics like cotton, cashmere, or linen. They harden the look. They stiffen the energy. They shine in a way that doesn't flatter real skin or natural movement. And the most surprising part is how quickly they deteriorate. After one season under the sun, they crease, peel, and lose their structure, leaving you carrying something that looks more tired than you ever will. The emotional pivot often arrives silently. I once watched a woman in her mid-60s adjust her glossy plastic shoulder bag during a warm afternoon stroll. She paused, looked down, ran her fingers across the surface, and whispered, "This doesn't feel like me anymore." It wasn't the heat or the shine that startled her. It was the realization that her style had grown deeper, softer, more intentional while her bag remained stuck in a decade she had already outgrown. She didn't want to announce herself with glare. She wanted to move with quiet confidence. And in that moment, the bag revealed the gap between who she once was and who she had become. If you've ever stepped outside in summer sun and felt your handbag warming up against your skin, sticking slightly to your side, or reflecting light so sharply it almost startled you, then you already know the discomfort glossy synthetics bring. A bag shouldn't feel like something you endure. It should feel like something that breathes with you. That's why the most flattering alternative is not glamorous or glittery at all. It is beautifully simple, a woven straw, raffia, or structured canvas bag that speaks softly yet radiates sophistication in a way synthetic shine never could. Natural textures carry a softness that harmonizes with mature style. They don't glare, they glow. They don't compete, they complement. Straw and raffia catch the sunlight the way your skin does with warmth and texture. Canvas holds structure without stiffness and gives an effortless lift to your entire look. Imagine yourself in a breezy white shirt, wide-legged linen trousers, and a honey-toned woven tote resting gently at your arm. You don't look like you're trying to dress young. You look like a woman who understands herself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you carried a summer bag that felt cool to the touch, light on the shoulder, and beautifully aligned with your natural style? If the answer feels distant, it might be time to let this glossy chapter end. Because the next handbag mistake on our list is something almost every woman over 60 has held onto a bit too long, and yet the solution is simpler, more stunning, and far more empowering than you might expect. Let's walk into that discovery together. Part 3: Print-heavy, whimsical patterns. There's a particular moment many women over 60 have lived through without ever speaking it out loud. That instant when you pick up a handbag covered in playful kittens or bright hearts or swirling cartoon flowers, and you suddenly feel a tiny shift inside, almost like the bag belongs to a version of you that has already moved on. It's not judgment. It's a quiet realization. A soft truth. Something in you whispers, "This isn't who I am anymore." And that moment is not about age. It's about evolution. Print-heavy, whimsical bags carry a sweetness that once fit perfectly into our younger chapters. They told the world we were lighthearted, spontaneous, full of color and delight. But as we grow, our presence deepens. Our energy changes texture. We no longer sparkle through noise. We shine through nuance. And a bag that used to feel charming can suddenly feel like it's speaking over us, instead of supporting us. I once worked with a woman in her mid-60s who adored her little patterned satchel sprinkled with tiny cartoon fruits. It reminded her of a summer she spent exploring open-air markets with her mother. But every time she wore it, something conflicted with the rest of her look. Her silver hair, her soft cashmere sweater, her elegant posture, everything about her radiated calm wisdom. Yet this bag kept pulling the eye downward, detaching her from her own maturity. When I gently suggested a refined alternative, she hesitated. Then she looked in the mirror and whispered, "I didn't realize how much I've changed. And how much this hasn't." That is the emotional pivot so many of us avoid. We don't cling to these bags because they are stylish. We cling because they carry pieces of our past. And letting go can feel like closing a door. But in truth, it's opening another one where your accessories honor who you are today, not who the world expected you to be decades ago. The shift from playful prints to timeless patterns is more than a fashion upgrade. It's an energetic reset. When you choose a subtle animal print, for instance, something remarkable happens. Leopard, zebra, or snakeskin, when done softly and tastefully, don't overwhelm your presence. They echo it. They mirror that mix of strength and softness that women over 60 embody so naturally. These prints are bold without shouting, sensual without trying. They feel lived in, grown in, rooted. And the moment you slip one over your shoulder, the transformation is almost startling. Imagine yourself standing in front of the mirror, with a sleek camel, toned bag, accented with a muted leopard detail. The reflection doesn't feel childish or loud. It feels intentional, mature, elegant. A woman fully in possession of her story. And if you've ever doubted whether a single handbag could shift your energy, try this. Hold a whimsical bag in one hand and a refined animal print in the other. Notice how your posture reacts. Notice which one makes you lift your chin slightly higher. Which one makes you breathe deeper. Which one feels like the woman you've become. Now let me ask you something. Has there ever been a moment when you caught your reflection with a patterned bag and felt that tiny internal tug? Like the style no longer matched your spirit? That single question often opens a flood of honesty, because deep down we always know when something no longer aligns with us. Choosing a refined print doesn't erase your joy. It elevates it. It turns that smile from playful to powerful. It lets your present speak first, and your accessories follow in harmony. And when the texture is right, the proportions are right, and the tones complement your complexion, something beautiful happens. The bag becomes an extension of you, not a distraction from you. And just when you think you've found your new rhythm with prints, the next handbag category reveals an even deeper truth about ease, posture, and the silent weight we sometimes carry without realizing it. Let's move into that together. Part 4: The oversized carry everything tote. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she looks down at the handbag hanging from her shoulder and realizes it holds far more than she remembers putting inside. Old receipts she meant to toss, a tiny notebook she hasn't opened in months, an extra pair of glasses, a small bag of mints, maybe even a sweater just in case the air conditioning is too strong. These oversized totes feel familiar, almost comforting, like loyal companions who followed us through errands, appointments, family gatherings, and years of simply living. But when we reach our 60s, something shifts, not in our worth or our style, but in what our presence deserves. And that enormous, slouchy tote that once felt practical begins to quietly work against us. When a bag overwhelms your frame, it softens your posture and steals the grace your body naturally expresses. It presses into your shoulder, drags your silhouette downward, and clouds the lightness you've earned with age. Even the most elegant outfit, a crisp blouse, well-tailored pants, soft neutral shoes, can lose its refinement when weighed down by a shapeless bag that seems determined to carry not only your belongings but also your energy. And you, my dear, were never meant to be weighed down. Not now. Not at this stage of power, clarity, and inner steadiness. I once worked with a client in her mid-60s who carried a well-worn oversized tote every day. She said it made her feel prepared for anything, but when she switched to a structured bucket bag, something remarkable happened. Her shoulders straightened. Her walk softened. Her face brightened. She didn't lose preparedness. She gained presence. It wasn't the bag that transformed her. It was the realization that she no longer needed to carry everything at once to feel capable. She herself was enough. Have you ever felt that tug on your shoulder, the subtle heaviness that reminds you your bag is holding your day together? Or perhaps found yourself digging endlessly inside, unable to find the simplest item? Those small frustrations aren't signs of aging. They are signs that your life has evolved, and your bag should evolve with you. The refined alternative is a structured bucket bag, not the stiff, overly rigid kind, but the softly sculpted version that balances practicality with polish. It has enough room for the essentials yet enough shape to keep your silhouette clean and lifted. Its base supports itself. Its sides hold their form. And its proportions complement your natural lines instead of fighting them. In soft leather, suede, or a high-quality vegan material, the bucket bag moves with quiet sophistication, much like the sense of ease you've cultivated over the years. Picture the way it sits upright, balanced, graceful. The drawstring opening keeps everything contained without adding fuss. The strap rests on your shoulder without slipping. The interior pockets offer exactly what you need, no more, no less. And the colors that flatter you most: top, olive, warm tan, gentle stone blend seamlessly with the gentle luminosity of mature skin and silver blended hair. When you choose a bag that respects your posture, your rhythm, your life, everything about you softens and strengthens at the same time. You appear lighter, not because you're carrying less, but because what you carry now aligns with the woman you've grown to be. Calm, collected, beautifully capable. And here's a question I'd love for you to reflect on. When was the last time a handbag made you feel not burdened, but beautifully supported? That feeling is the standard you deserve at this stage, not someday, not eventually, but now. As we move forward, let's step into a style truth that surprises many women. Sometimes the bag you've loved the longest is the very one that quietly ages you the most. And that brings us to the next handbag, a deeply sentimental piece that might be ready for a graceful goodbye. Let's talk about it. Part 5: Over-embellished bags. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that the things she once wore to sparkle now feel strangely heavy. Not heavy in weight, but heavy in noise. If you've ever picked up a bag covered in glittering beads, dangling charms, oversized chains, or shiny appliques, and felt an unexpected distance from it, as if it belonged to a past version of you, you're not imagining it. Embellishment has its place, but after 60, it can quietly dim the very radiance it was meant to enhance. The truth is that overly decorative bags tend to arrive in the room before you do. They flash. They clink. They demand attention. And for a woman whose confidence has matured into something deep, quieter, far more magnetic, that kind of noise feels out of sync. You've spent decades refining your presence. You don't need a bag that tries to announce it for you. What you carry should support your elegance, not compete with it. One woman once told me she kept a jeweled handbag because it reminded her of her younger, adventurous self. But when she saw photos of herself wearing it recently, she was surprised by how restless it made her whole outfit appear. The bag was beautiful, but it was telling the wrong story. And maybe you've had that moment too. Have you ever looked at a bag you used to love and wondered when it stopped feeling like you? This is where emotional clarity meets style evolution. After 60, your beauty speaks through intention. Your glow comes from the warmth in your smile, the way you move with assurance, the way your experience softens your expression. Accessories should echo that softness, not drown it out. That's why the most powerful alternative to the over-embellished bag isn't more sparkle, it's craftsmanship. Texture that feels meaningful rather than loud. Artistry that whispers rather than shouts. A woven or crocheted bag, thoughtfully structured and made with care, carries a completely different energy. Think natural fibers, subtle stitching, patterns created not by rhinestones, but by the true rhythm of the material. Picture yourself in a light linen blouse and tailored pants, holding a structured woven bag in warm ecru or soft honey brown. The look feels serene, grounded, quietly luxurious. It doesn't fight for attention, it becomes part of a whole that enhances your presence rather than performing for it. These pieces are beautiful because they reflect patience, intention, and the kind of confidence that doesn't need embellishment to be seen. Expert stylists often say that, as we age, visual clutter around the face or upper body can unintentionally harden our features. Overdone accessories create sharp reflections that compete with natural skin texture. That's why simpler textures, softer finishes, And organic materials lift the face instead of weighing it down. It's not about looking younger, it's about looking aligned with who you are today. Before you move on, let me ask you something. When you choose a bag now, do you pick what excites your eye? Or what settles beautifully into your energy? The answer reveals more than style. It reveals how deeply you've stepped into this chapter of life. And as we shift from decorations to intention, the next handbag style reveals something even more important about what we choose to carry forward and what we're finally ready to release. Ready to explore it. Part 6: The Tiny, Decorative Evening Bag. There is a certain kind of elegance that comes with age. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't sparkle for attention, and doesn't need the approval of a trend cycle. And yet, so many women over 60 are still holding on to evening bags that were designed for show rather than for life. Those little decorative purses that can barely hold a lipstick. The ones that look charming until you actually try to use them. They sit in your hand like delicate ornaments. Pretty but impractical. And somehow the moment you step outside with one, something about your presence feels minimized rather than magnified. You know that feeling, don't you? When you're dressed beautifully, standing tall, ready for a dinner or a special gathering, and suddenly the tiny clutch in your hand feels like a prop instead of a companion. It doesn't support you. It limits you. It asks you to shrink your essentials, shrink your movement, shrink your comfort, all for the sake of appearing dainty. But after 60, dainty shouldn't replace dignity. And dignity never asks you to carry less of who you are. Many women tell me they hold on to these tiny decorative bags because they remind them of their younger nights out, when fashion felt carefree and fun. And memory is powerful. But the emotional pivot comes here. You are still deserving of beauty that works for the woman you are now. Not just the girl you used to be. When an accessory forces you to adapt to it, instead of adapting to you, that's the moment it quietly ages your entire look. Not because it's small, but because it doesn't rise to your level anymore. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you chose a handbag that supported your evening, not one that you had to protect like fragile glass? Have you ever been at a dinner, fumbling with a tiny clasp, because nothing fits? Trying to balance a small beaded pouch on your lap, while pretending not to worry about it slipping to the floor. Those moments aren't elegant, and they certainly don't reflect the beautiful sophistication you've earned. Here's where the transformation begins. Instead of those miniature decorative purses, embrace a sleek, structured evening clutch designed with maturity in mind. Not oversized, not heavy, just refined. The kind that fits your phone, glasses, lipstick, maybe even a small card case without compromising shape. Look for softly rounded edges to complement your silhouette rather than chop it. Choose subtle metallic accents instead of busy rhinestones, and opt for textures that whisper elegance, like satin with structure, fine grain, leather, or a brushed metallic finish that softens under warm lighting. Imagine yourself stepping into an evening event with a clutch that actually supports you. One that rests comfortably in your hand, feels secure, and blends naturally with your outfit, instead of fighting for attention. Picture the glow of candlelight catching a soft satin finish, not too shiny, not too youthful, just quietly, intentionally sophisticated. There is something deeply powerful about accessories that mirror your current presence rather than your past preferences. That is where true elegance settles. And here's a detail many women overlook. A structured clutch subtly lifts your posture. When a bag balances well in your hand, your shoulders open, your gestures become relaxed, and your entire energy shifts from managing your accessories to simply enjoying your evening. That shift, small as it may seem, reads instantly as youthful, confident, and modern. Let's return to you now. Which version of you feels more aligned with your life today? The one juggling a tiny beaded purse that barely holds a breath. Or the one carrying an elegant, structured evening clutch that honors her needs and amplifies her presence. These choices are never about rules. They're about revealing the best of you at this stage: your poise, your clarity, your lived beauty. And if you're wondering what to explore next, the next handbag on our list carries a deeper emotional lesson than anything we've discussed so far, a lesson about holding on, letting go, and stepping into a version of yourself that feels beautifully renewed. Let's move into that together. Part 7: Over-embellished bags that distract instead of elevate. There's a moment many women quietly recognize, but rarely say out loud. It's that instant when you catch a glimpse of yourself in a shop window, and something feels slightly off. The outfit is lovely, the hair is soft and intentional, the posture is elegant, but the handbag on your arm seems to be living an entirely different life. The beads shimmer too loudly under daylight, the metal chains clink with every step, and the rhinestones sparkle so aggressively they almost compete with your presence. And suddenly you realize that the bag you thought added glamour is actually stealing your spotlight. For women over 60, this happens more often than you think. Over-embellished handbags hold a certain nostalgia. They remind us of parties, celebrations, nights when we wanted to shine brightly. But as we mature, our beauty shifts from something that sparkles outward to something that glows inward. There is a depth, a calm radiance, a quiet power that doesn't need to be decorated. When a bag tries too hard, it throws off this balance. Heavy ornamentation creates visual noise, making the entire outfit feel restless rather than refined. I've worked with many women who admitted they kept these bags because they felt safe, because loud details once served as confidence boosters. But after 60, confidence no longer needs armor. It needs alignment. And when you carry a bag that overwhelms your natural softness, it unintentionally sends the message that you're trying to recapture something you've already outgrown. Take a moment to visualize this: a beautifully dressed woman in soft neutrals, silver hair glowing like silk, a relaxed yet regal posture, and on her arm, a handbag dripping with studs and oversized chains. The eye doesn't know where to land. The elegance of her face gets lost behind the decorations. The harmony between texture, silhouette, and movement collapses. It's not that she looks older. It's that she looks burdened by something that no longer belongs to her story. Here's the emotional pivot when a woman over 60 exchanges a noisy, over-embellished bag for something quieter yet richer. Her transformation is immediate. The face opens up. The posture lifts. The outfit breathes again. She doesn't look younger, she looks truer. And ultimately, authenticity is the most youthful quality of all. So what should replace these overly adorned bags? The answer is surprisingly simple and deeply elegant. A woven or crocheted piece crafted with care. Not the floppy tourist market tote, but a refined, structured version made from natural fibers, soft leather trims, or artisanal stitches. These bags carry texture without chaos. They bring warmth without weight. And they whisper sophistication. The way maturity always does, gently, confidently, without begging for attention. Imagine running your hand along a hand-woven pattern, feeling each subtle ridge and knot, knowing someone's time and artistry live inside every detail. This kind of craftsmanship doesn't shout. It speaks softly and steadily, much like a woman who has lived enough life to understand what truly matters. These tactile textures pair effortlessly with linen trousers, tailored blazers, summer dresses, and monochromatic outfits. They don't fight with your clothing, they complete it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your handbag felt like a reflection of your inner calm rather than a distraction from it? When did it last feel like a companion, instead of an accessory that demanded attention? Women over 60 often talk about craving ease, clarity, and lightness, A thoughtfully made woven or crocheted bag delivers exactly that. And just when you think this is the final shift you need, the next category might surprise you even more because it challenges something many women don't even realize is aging their style every single day. But before we go there, take a breath. You're about to see your everyday handbag choices in a completely new light. There comes a moment, somewhere after 60, when a woman realizes she no longer dresses to impress the world around her. She dresses to recognize herself again. And throughout this journey, something as simple as a handbag quietly becomes a mirror. It reveals what we hold on to, what we outgrow, and what we are finally ready to choose with intention instead of habit. Every bag we explored today carried a deeper truth. Some styles weighed you down without you noticing. Some softened your presence in ways you never intended. Others distracted from the quiet elegance you've cultivated over a lifetime. And yet none of these were mistakes. They were chapters. Chapters filled with memories, comfort, familiarity, even joy. Letting them go isn't about erasing anything. It's about creating space for what reflects the woman you are now, not the woman you were 10 or 20 years ago. Because at this stage of life, your style is no longer an experiment. It's a language. It communicates confidence without raising its voice. It signals maturity without losing vibrance. It allows you to move through the world with lightness, grace, and self-assurance. And the right handbag quietly amplifies all of that. A structured silhouette lifts your posture. A refined texture softens your glow. A palette that harmonizes with silver hair and warm undertones brings a luminosity no trend can compete with. Each choice becomes a gentle declaration. I know who I am, and I choose what supports me. As you hold your current handbag in your hands, whichever one. It may be you might feel a memory, a habit, or maybe even a little reluctance. But here is the beautiful part. You don't need to overhaul your wardrobe or chase reinvention. You only need to choose pieces that elevate what is already extraordinary about you. Pieces that honor the life you've lived and the clarity you carry today. So, I invite you to ask yourself, with honesty and a touch of curiosity, which handbag in your collection reflects the woman you are becoming and which ones belong to the woman you've already outgrown. Your answer might surprise you, and it might also open the door to a much lighter, more elegant chapter ahead. If today's video inspired you or made you rethink even one small choice, I'd love to hear it. Which bag are you ready to retire and which new style are you excited to try? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experiences help so many other women feel seen, understood, and encouraged. And if you haven't yet, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I'm here every week with thoughtful, uplifting fashion and beauty insights, created especially for mature, confident women who know that elegance only deepens over time. Because age doesn't take style away, it reveals it. And from this moment forward, may your handbag tell a story of grace, strength, intention, and the quiet joy of a woman beautifully, unapologetically herself.